Hello, wild ones. Thank you for joining us again on this adventure of the gene key of the day. We're in front of the wheel again, and let's take a look at some of the planetary positions. Today we'll be focusing on the sun, and we're also going to take a look at Uranus. It's making its splash this week, so. All right, the sun, well, excuse me. Consequently enough, there's a very incredible amount of power and potency that you can reach into the... Wrong glasses. What? That's not what we're going for. Sorry. Excuse me. Okay, now let's take a deeper look. 56. From distraction to enrichment and to intoxication. This is what is being illuminated in our consciousness right now. So you might notice from July 19th to the 25th, which is also the day out of time in the Mayan calendar, you may have noticed a bit more vitality in your capacity to be alive, in the balance between wildness and responsibility. I love this bridge that the 56 makes, because down at the shadow, we're wearing the world mask, we're totally numbing ourselves from what's really going on inside of us by either overstimulating ourselves with our senses and all of the things that we can very easily be distracted by in this life. And at one end, we could just be shutting ourselves completely off and numbing ourselves, which is the repressive nature of this key, sullen, bogged down by the tedium of mundane life. Have you been experiencing that? But the power of this is that at the gift level, it's calling us into this deep kind of discernment of what enriches my being, and being able to take a look and find out what will nourish me most in this moment, and to be able to bring it in perfect doses. And still, this 56 is about living fully. The intoxication is that full divine comedy and drama majesty of taking in the elements of life and enjoying ourselves. So it's definitely not about turning things into this posterity of, I'm too good to be drinking wine on the weekends, No, it's knowing what enriches, and maybe you just need one sip. So have fun with that. I'm sure you already have been, since we're towards the end of this week. And, we just crossed into Leo. So Mercury is right with the sun right now, crossing into Leo. We've already made that transition. And so it's that time of the summer where an immense amount of light and radiance wants to come bursting out of our hearts and our beings. And as my great friend Gemini Brett says with More Than Astrology, he says, Leo's not this whole thing about it needs the spotlight. Leo needs the spotlight. Neo leads the spotlight. It's that the spotlight needs the Leo. And I really love that twist. So the other planet that I wanted to take a look at today here with you all amazing people, and thank you again for tuning into your of consciousness, is Uranus. We could talk a lot about Uranus because it's been a major player in the stars in the last many years, since 2012, in this major square with Pluto. But today I just want to talk about the fact that Uranus tomorrow is going to be stationing and then going direct for its annual 6-month or so retrograde cycle. So it does this every year. It's basically half the year it's going direct, and then half the year it's going retrograde. So I just want to bring our attention to this station point where it's this pivotal moment where this energy is going to be alive, alive, alive in our field. So, what is Uranus, and how is Uranus being in the 51st gene key affecting us? Well, Uranus is the revolutionary. So inside of us, I'm trying to think, should we start at the shadow or the gift? Well, let me just say that I find it pretty interesting that Uranus is in 51, because 51 of all the keys I feel carries the archetype of Uranus the most strong. So it's almost like this doubled power. They really represent each other. So let's go to the shadow, okay? Here we have this amazing revolutionary planet and this amazing initiative of the 51st gene key. But when it's down and it's obscured and lower frequency, this is a really harsh vibe, to put it simply. Uranus in its shadow is very impulsive and rebellious, but to that point where it can be destructive. It can be in itself very agitating. It feels trapped. It wants to break free. And sometimes it's not carrying a wise energy of let me think of that first. And it just wants to act. And so teaming up with this shadow of agitation, we might very well be feeling a bit uncomfortable and experiencing a little bit extra of that fear of what might happen, or maybe we are the ones who are causing strong ripples and shocks in our reality. Let's be extra aware of how our extreme behavior could be affecting the world around us. So we have here agitation is either expressing itself as cowardly or hostile. And really, it's dealing with this dilemma of harshness. So I want to just bring our attention. How are we being impulsively harsh? And where can we kind of slow down and soften? Right. So also noticing how we're too quick to escape the discomfort, because agitation in itself has a lot of discomfort, and having Uranus sitting there is going to want to try to get away from it, but we need to have a lot of patience with this one. Now at the gift, it's amazing how much creative, progressive, revolutionary, original energy that we have on our side right now. Potent, okay, because in itself, this planet wants to change the world, and it will do it from the inside out, but it's got big visions. And so what a potent planet to have activating this 51st key of initiative, which is just triggering that place of courage inside of us to take the leap into our own creative juices. So in this next cycle, we're going to be taking a deep check and a deep view of how are we being creative and revolutionary in the ways that we can activate our genius, and how does that all come together and create a new world, because that's really what Uranus is wanting to do, collectively bringing about great change, and it might happen quick. So definitely, I think a slow pace and many pauses. Tune into the triple flame. Slow down, because Uranus will act impulsively, and we need to have that with us. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.